Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe back with another episode of the Strafing Run, and as always, this is designed to keep you up to date on a fairly regular basis. The game in the background today is of Wargame European Escalation, and this is of a multiplayer match that I had during the live stream the other day. Unfortunately, I get disconnected a little later on, but I still had fun nonetheless. Still have a lot to learn with this one. So many things to do, but otherwise I'm having a blast with it. It is back on sale via Steam during the Steam summer sale. I think right now it's 40% off. I managed to grab it for 50 off. I don't think that it'll go any higher than that, even if they put it back up as one of their daily deals. However, even 40% off is a really good discount for such an amazing title that just has so much to it. 300 units, you know, Cold War era vehicles, and just totally about tactics, and the game engine is phenomenal. The way you can just be totally zoomed out and then go all the way into them point blank range. It's just a beautiful game, and it sounds really cool too. Lots of good components there for fun times. Multiplayer, definitely a blast when I'm not getting disconnected. But otherwise, let's move on to the Steam summer sale. So far, I haven't found anything that I'm too interested in. I'm contemplating Total War Shogun 2, possibly getting some of those. Never really too into the Total War series. I know they're great games. There's a lot in there. There's a lot of detail and depth, but I'm sometimes wondering if it might be a little bit too much for me in terms of multitasking. I don't think that if I bought it, I would be any good at it anytime soon. And considering the amount of time I have to learn games these days, I really just don't know. But I'm thinking about it because it's pretty cheap. It's 75% off for a few more hours, so that's kind of on my plate. I am actually looking at Mountain Blade Warband and the Napoleonic Wars DLC as well, which is, I think, what, 40% off. I'm gonna see if it'll go any further, because I know in the past it's been, I think last month it was actually 75% off. But I didn't really understand much about it until I recently looked at it again and realized that it was literally people having battles online with over 150 to 200 players, you know, in melee combat in medieval times, just fighting each other, doing castle and keep sieges. And I was like, wait a minute. I actually thought it was kind of like a Total War game, which is why I didn't want it, because I was like, oh, this is like Total War with crappy graphics. And so I completely passed on it. But then I realized that no, you're actually just in control of one person and you're just fighting with hundreds of people. You know, when knowing that, I can look past the bad graphics, because that kind of gameplay just looks kind of fun. And the Napoleonic Wars DLC actually looks like a blast as well. So I'm eyeing those, but since that's on sale until the 23rd, I'm kind of seeing if it'll hit 75%. I mean, it's already cheap as it is. It's like $11.99. That's not going to break my bank, but I'm just kind of wondering, because I know I'm the kind of person that will regret it if it's, oh no, it's 75, I got, you know, if I can get the best deal possible, then whatever. And I'm not going to be impatient about it. But otherwise, not too much. It's kind of interesting to see how Steam's handling this sale with all the flash sales and the tell us which deal you'd like to see next thing. So that's kind of cool that they're doing that. So it's pretty neat. So with that said, good luck on your Steam sale shopping. Let's move on to talk about live streaming a little bit more. Obviously, that's been doing pretty well. We did 2 streams so far. The DayZ stream, in my opinion, was, I think, fairly successful. We had like 273 viewers at one point. The stream after that I did without DayZ, I obviously had a lot less. Mostly, I guess a lot of you just still want to see DayZ on the live stream, which will happen again, I'm sure, in the future, because we had, I think, I want to say it felt like we had 20 or more actual people on the same server with me. We had an army. We literally had an army just going cross country. It was bonkers. A lot of people died that day, but it was interesting and funny nonetheless. We'll try to improve it and see what we can work out the next time. We obviously weren't really focusing on tactics. You know, it's just to be able to control that many people without any type of real formal training and everything is just, it's going to be nuts, and I wouldn't expect it to be anything else. So for those just watching the stream, if we ever have that many, you know, again, don't expect us to be, you know, sieging cities and everything on the first try. It's just going to be whatever it is. It's mostly just there for fun and laughs, but I plan that, to continue the live stream once in a while. I don't really have a set schedule just yet. What I do typically now is announce it on Facebook, Twitter, and the YouTube feed. I might actually take a suggestion and perhaps create a very short, minute-long video that says, all right, I'm live streaming. Head on over, for those of you who are just on YouTube, because I know a lot of you guys don't like Facebook and Twitter, and the YouTube feed is terrible because nobody ever sees it. So it'd be best maybe you'll see a video, but again, you got to think that I have to record that, upload it, which it won't take long to upload, a minute, but still, it's just another kind of minor annoyance. Whereas I think it's unfortunate that at least Twitter is the most non-evasive form of social media. You just make a little account and you get Twitter updates. I mean, it's not like it's going to take over your life. Facebook, I can understand a little more, but Twitter, I don't really see any reason for people not to use that, but you don't want to use it, fine. But just saying, that's where everything's going to be. So I'm literally putting it out on 3 locations for everybody, even just on the YouTube feed. So if it gets missed, there's not much I can do about it. I've been trying to time them perfectly. So far, I've been doing it afternoon my time, and where it's a little more in the evening for European time zones and things like that. So it seems like my timing is decent as far as that. I'd like to continue to do that so I can get a broad range of people online. Yeah, I think if anything, it's probably worst for people on the West Coast of the United States, just because by the time that I've been doing it, it's been a little early in the morning. So it's going to be hard to appease everybody, and I can't make any promises. There will be times where I just might feel like live streaming at midnight, my time. If you miss it, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's probably just some random live stream I decide to do. But if it's ever like a really big, important stream, like if I'm going to do like another major DayZ event, then don't worry, that'll be properly announced. But if you ever see that you get an email notification that SideStrafe is live streaming, and you're like, oh man, I missed it, but it was like at midnight his time, and I can't be there for that. Don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. It's probably just some random gameplay session where I just was bored and felt like live streaming. So again, my main focus is on YouTube. That is the #1 place you guys should be at. My job, my living, it really revolves around YouTube. The Twitch.tv thing is totally side, and that's just more so to interact with the community. Obviously, we do some Q&A after I do my sessions and whatnot. That way you guys can get some of your questions answered. And honestly, that helps too, because it's easier to answer questions there than to constantly read YouTube comments, which I can't always do, because like if you look at the DayZ videos, there's over thousands of comments sometimes, and it's like I just can't go through them all. It's impossible. But with chat, sometimes I'm able to do it a little easier. Not always, again, because when you're trying to play a game and look at chat, it's just not always going to happen, especially if it's an RTS where my concentration is just lost into the game. But beyond that, I think that covers the Twitch.tv thing. If you can, make sure to hit follow over there. That way you'll get email notifications from Twitch. And it's kind of like subscribing to it. You'll be subscribing to the Twitch channel. So if you don't want Twitter, you don't want Facebook, you don't see the things on the YouTube feed, just by subscribing on Twitch, you're going to get like an email notification if you choose. But keep in mind, you might get an email notification when I'm streaming at whenever weird time. So that would help me as well. I would appreciate it. But in gaming news, I don't really have much else. World of Tanks 7.5 is in beta. I'll probably take a look at that. They're adding the tier 10 mediums and stuff, so that should be kind of interesting. They're adding some new tanks. Should get pretty crazy. Beyond that, I do believe the PlanetSide 2 beta is right around the corner. At least that's what I keep hearing. I'm not sure what's taking them so long, as their alpha does seem pretty solid from what we've seen on YouTube and E3. Very well performing for an alpha. I would say it performs better than a lot of live retail games in some cases. So I hope that their beta is even better. The only downside, I'm sure there'll be some sort of non-disclosure agreement, which means I won't be allowed to upload YouTube footage until that's lifted. But when it is, definitely be sure that there will be content as soon as possible, the first week, and I will try to cover it in real time, going over my tactics, strategies, my thought process as I play, More so because, I mean, I don't mind doing post commentary once in a while, but I feel like there's nothing better than knowing what somebody's thinking as they're doing it. You know, whether it's successful or not, being in the firefight and achieving something as you're talking about it. Like if I tell you, oh, okay, let's go here. My plan is to do this. I'm gonna flank in from this side, and it works. Then you're like, you know, wow, he thought of that right at the moment, you know. And I think that's the best way to convey any type of guide or strategy, is actually show it happening live. You know, where you can't edit anything, where you can't say, oh yeah, well that was my intention from, you know, as you know, just that's, I think, the way to do it. That's a lot of what I like to watch. That's how I obviously play World of Tanks and Blacklight and Tribes and all my other games. So I plan on doing the same with that and pretty much all games to come in the future. Beyond that, the only little complaint I do have about PlanetSide 2 is something I touched on briefly before. It's how they're going to handle certain cosmetic items. Obviously, they got to make money somewhere, and they don't want it to be pay to win. Good, that's great. I'm totally down for that. But with these cosmetics, obviously I've complained about the fact that there's zebra print camouflage and heart graphics that you can put on the windshields of your vehicles and things like that. And honestly, I feel like a lot of that stuff takes us out of the story. It takes us out of the realm of, I don't want to say realism because it's not a realistic game, but I want to say the realism within PlanetSide. It's an arcadey game, but does that mean that it should have just wacky types of, you know, skins? I almost feel like, honestly, this is what happened. Somebody at the studio who was in charge was like, oh, you know, it would be great if we did this. And then somebody else was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't care. I get paid more than you. Do it. And then there's some poor artists in cubicles. They're just like, why am I putting a zebra print on a military vehicle? You know that's what's happening. I mean, let's face it, guys. Let's face it. These poor guys, they go to art school and they do all this stuff, and they're like, oh man, I can't wait to make this cool, badass looking thing. And then all of a sudden it's like My Little Pony time on PlanetSide 2. I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's just the way I feel about it. I'm not really into the goofy, wacky camos. I'm all for, you know, trying to provide something that makes sense. Like if I'm in a desert environment, I want to have, you know, desert camouflage or olive drabs and things like that, earth tones, so I can blend into the environments as much as I possibly can. And really conceal myself or somehow break up my silhouette. You know, obviously it's an arcadey game. It's not realistic. It's not Arma. But I still think that even an arcadey game can have some sort of, you know, futuristic sci-fi military stylization. And the fact that we're already dealing with guys wearing black and red, blue and yellow and purple. I mean, okay, it's already cheesy as it is, but now it's like it's reaching the next level of cheese. It's going above and beyond the call of cheesedom. I mean, it's just a little too much in my opinion. I hope that these cosmetics, I hope that the ugliest cosmetics cost the most. I hope that if you want to be a troll and fly around with a zebra print, that you have to pay for it. And some of you are probably like, but I was gonna get a zebra print dropship. I wanted to fly you around in it. And that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna be all ready to go. We're gonna be all suited up. All right, everybody ready to go. We're all loading up. Lock and load, and like dropships coming in. 5 seconds, they drop, and then it's like, zebra print, hearts. I'm just gonna walk. I'll see you guys at the rendezvous point. That's what it's gonna be like for me because of that. But I'm sure I'll get trolled in the game because of that. All right, SideStrafe, let's go. Here's your zebra print dropship. It's like, all right, that's enough. But you know, if that's the extent of my complaints for this game, then I will be a happy camper. I mean, because honestly, there's much worse things in the world than having to deal with that. It's just a minor complaint. I really don't care that much. It's not anything that's like, I'm not playing this game, you know. So don't take this the wrong way. It's just my little artistic critique for the day. I think that when it comes to ambience, storyline, like I said, we're already in an arcadey weird world of dealing with strange colors as it is for some of the troops, but you know, there obviously has to be some sort of way to tell them apart. That's fine, but I think sometimes they need to scale it down a little bit so that we can keep it within some sort of I don't know, some sort of storyline or something that just makes some sort of sense, I guess. I don't know. That's just my rant for the day. I, had to have a video where I complained about something. If I don't complain about something, it's just not a proper SideStrafe video. But anyways, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you on the next one.